Hi everyone, and welcome to AWS She Builds. My name is Anna Green, and I am the head of the ISV customer team across Asia, Pacific and Japan. And it is my absolute honor and privilege to be bringing this keynote presentation to all of you today. So what we're going to talk about today is thinking differently about your career. That's what AWS She Builds is all about, thinking differently about the skills and how to build a career in technology. And we're going to look at it through 4 different lenses. The first is thinking about a different career journey. The second is thinking differently about your skill sets. The third is using the lens of diversity to see our workplaces differently. And then finally, how AWS She Builds is really about building something different in the industry in order to help women to think differently about their careers. So welcome to She Builds. It's our first digital AWS She Builds event, and we're really excited about it. Not only because we're a technology company and it's exciting for us to do anything in a digital forum, but also because it's really important that we continue running events like this, even with the change in the way that we're all working now in our new work from home environment. So it's really exciting that we're still able to bring this to you and bring you what we hope will be an amazing day of speakers and conversations that are relevant to women when they're thinking about building out careers in tech. So today's AWS She Builds is going to include insightful speakers. Hopefully you've already seen the list of amazing people who will be speaking today. We're also going to be having what we hope will be interesting and helpful industry-based discussions, which will involve you, and we're looking forward to that. And then, of course, some pretty exciting AWS announcements around how we're helping women build their careers in tech. So I'm not going to go deep on those. I'm going to leave that to some of the women who were speaking later today. But there are 3 very big announcements that AWS is making today. The first is explaining and launching Cloud U, which is helping women to get certified in AWS certifications, things like AWS Cloud Practitioner and Solutions Architect Associate. And that is going to be done with the help and support of AWS technical staff. The second is our mentorship program, which we take very seriously. And the reason we do is that we understand that mentorship can really help women to feel confident in building and growing their technical skills. And it'll help to boost inclusion and diversity across the technology industry for women in particular. And then finally, we're running AWS Heroes, which are AWS experts who are independently evangelizing AWS and sharing their experiences and their knowledge through different channels. And what we really want to do today is recruit more women for this program. We know you're out there and we're excited to hear from you. So let me start by asking you all to think differently about your own career journey. You don't need to come from a purely tech background to build a career in the tech industry. And I am a very good case in point for that. I started my career as a lawyer, a corporate lawyer in Sydney many years ago, and my career has taken me through many different countries and lots of different technical skill sets. I also was in finance, in banking, and I've been fortunate enough to be a chief risk officer and a chief executive officer. So I've thought differently about my career at pivotal times. I've taken risks and realized that a lot of the internal biases I have are just that, internal biases. And there's nothing different about me to any of you out there, so I would encourage you to really think differently about your career journey. The reason that's important is because women are less likely to take risks than men. There's so much data about this, but it's really important to note that men will typically apply for a job when they have 60% of the qualifications, whereas women feel convicted that they have to have 100% of the qualifications before they apply for a job. I would encourage you to be aware of that internal bias. You may not have it, but a lot of women do. So have some courage to overcome your own biases there. Back yourselves, because you will have more skill sets than you know, and grow in your career and take risks. And I include this slide because it speaks to that. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor is it the most intelligent that survives. It's the one that is most adaptable to change. And that is so relevant now. We know that our businesses, our environments, our communities of work are changing exponentially and so much more quickly than they have before. So you must equip yourself with different skill sets in order to be adaptable to that change. I would also say think differently about your skill sets, because skill sets are transferable, but job titles aren't. So, as I said, our backgrounds are not all the same, and that's okay. Just because you haven't worked in technology before doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity to do it going forward. And the skills that you have built in your existing role are all transferable. If you think about it, project management and the ability to drive results, that is job industry agnostic. The ability to do that, start a project and finish it and have an outcome at the end, it doesn't matter which industry that you are working in. If you can prove that you are able to marshal those skill sets, then you're in a position to look at a role that has project management as a skill set required. I would say the same about analytics and the ability to dive deep to understand problems. So if you've had something to do with an analytical or a financial business modeling type role, these are skills that you should think differently about when you're applying for your next job. Customer relationship management skills we all have, and the ability to solve problems with time and resourcing constraints, things that you can prove that you do in your everyday job, and maybe you don't think of yourself as having those skill sets, but you have them and they are transferable. So don't talk yourself out of a job just because you don't feel like you have the skills. I would say feel the fear and do it anyway. And I've used a quote from Ginny Rometty from IBM here. And she said, "I learned to always take on things that I've never done before. Growth and comfort do not coexist." I would agree with her in that regard. It is nowadays more of a reality for all of us to feel uncomfortable and discomfort with change. And I would encourage all of you to try to think differently about that and really embrace the opportunity to change your skill sets in line with the change in the industry and the change in the business that you are operating in. Think differently and you may find yourself with a completely different career journey. So AWS She Builds is all about building your skills. As I said, chances are that you have more skills than you give yourself credit for. And AWS She Builds is about equipping you with skills that you need to be successful in the technology industry. So why invest in technology skills? I mean, anyone who's had anything to do with business in the last 5 to 10 years will understand that intuitively, because the momentum towards moving our society to a digital future continues to be an imperative for any business operating today, business and government. What's interesting is that 90% of CEOs believe that the digital economy will impact their industry, but less than 15% are executing on a digital strategy. I know that to be true with the customers that I've dealt with and having led a business myself. It's very hard to think about how to implement a completely new business model in a digital context. So think about it in your own context. If you are skilling yourself up with the skill sets that will help you to transform a business from old school to digital, you are going to be the type of person and the type of employee that companies and businesses are going to want to employ. It's really common sense, but it's something for you to think about, especially as you're all here today at She Builds. And it is absolutely true to say that technology now drives the direction of businesses and it dictates the way that we're constructing our future. And for me, women have a vital and really active part to play in architecting that future. And they should do it through building an understanding and the use of technology. And that's what it's all about today. Unfortunately, women are still not represented in technology. We know from data that they really are not penetrating, in particular, the more senior roles in technology. In Singapore, where I'm based, in 2017, a survey found that females made only 7% of IT leaders. And we know that in Australia, the number of CEOs who are women in ASX-listed companies is continuing to fall. It's disappointing and it shouldn't be the case. So how do we fix it? Because we know that women don't like to take risks in trying new roles. So certainly from an AWS perspective, we're trying to think differently about that. We know that we want to build diverse teams to represent our customers and our communities. And we also feel like it's our responsibility to build out programs of work that help women to engage with technology so that we can build a diverse workforce. And we built She Builds to do just that. So let me give you some context on what diversity and inclusion means at AWS. Diversity is all about the combination of unique skills, experiences, perspectives, and cultural backgrounds that make us who we are. It's our collective diversity which benefits our global customers. And inclusion is being valued, trusted, connected, and informed so that we can deliver the best results for our customers. And very importantly, inclusion is more than just recruiting. So at AWS, we don't ignore leaky buckets. We prioritize equity, culture, development, and retention mechanisms to improve our ability to delight our customers and to attract the best builders of all backgrounds. That's why we're running a program like She Builds, because it's not just about recruiting women, it's about helping women build their skills in technology. So why did AWS build She Builds? We have a strong commitment to building diverse and inclusive workforces, which is what I just spoke about. And if you don't know, our philosophy is that we want to be the world's most customer-obsessed company. And again, taking a step back from that statement, half of our customers are women. So it makes complete sense to view our business in the same terms. We need women's voices at the table through all levels of the organization. And we need to do that to ensure that we understand our customers' needs and those of the communities in which we operate, which are different because we are a global organization and we have a global lens. So it's absolutely essential that we have women's voices at the table representing a women's experience of the world. So that's why we're building She Builds. And to finish, I wanted to touch base with one of our very senior leaders here at AWS who has spent a lot of time helping women to think differently about how to craft a career in technology. And she's given us 5 tips that are often forgotten when approaching a business role in technology, and I think something we might all learn from today. First, put the bottom line up front. Don't leave your audience guessing or making their own assumptions. Secondly, think creatively about how you can apply your skills to different domains. If you're applying for a job, for example, always rewrite the job description to reflect your skills. I thought that was an interesting one. Stay at the table. Be one of the few people who doesn't wait for an invitation from someone else. And once you are there, make sure you are heard. If you see a hole, fill it. This is something I see women do time again in my own organization and often don't put their hand up to get the acknowledgement that that's exactly what they've done. They've resolved a problem for a customer or for the business, and it has been them doing it. So if you see a hole, fill it. And I would add to that, make sure people are aware that you are doing that job and that it's something that is personal to you and that you have driven. Own your own fantastic successes, as you should. And then finally, for the tasks that you are ready to conquer, dive in. Be proactive in showing off your skills and telling your story. And she's excited to see what we build, what you build, but I am specifically excited to see how all of you enjoy and engage with our amazing audience and our amazing speakers today. It is my pleasure and privilege to be involved in this event. I am so grateful to all of you because you've taken the time out to spend some time with the AWS team and some of the amazing speakers that we have managed to organize for you here today. So as I said, for me, it's a huge welcome to everyone on the call today. I'm excited about what's coming in the future, and I'm wishing you all a fantastic day of interesting discussions and hopefully getting you more involved in the technology industry going forward.